thank you for the Sheikh Ibrahim Center for hosting us. Thank you to Sheikh Amai, of course, and all the board. We are very happy to have with us tonight Dr. Stella Falzone from the National Archaeological Museum of Taranto. And we will start this very interesting lecture with a welcome speech by His Excellency the Ambassador of Italy, Mr. Andrea Catalano.
I'm thinking of starting here at the typewriter, which I admired with Her Excellency Sheikh Amai, but I will go more visible, and I will. What is Eleonora? I will follow the script. Believe me. Your Excellency Sheikh Amai. We talked already. Thank you again. Thank you for all you do for us and to the center for the support that you give us. And it's always a delight to be here and discover every single time a new house in the project that you're doing and recovering all these places. These places are beautiful, and I want to come by myself. Please, by myself, I want to come and visit each one. So this is not in the script. Sorry, Eleonora. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, neighbors. First of all, I need once again to thank Sheikh Amai for the inviolable and tireless efforts to promote culture and keeping the Sheikh Ibrahim Center doors open in support of our Italian cultural activities in Bahrain, our joint activities. And I think we're very happy with what we're doing. I'm very grateful for your cooperation and honored to work with your magnificent center. Welcome everybody to our fascinating lecture in which, so here you will see, you can see it, but she's not professoressa, she's doctor, and everywhere it's going to be, and she's a friend. Dottoressa Stella Falzone, Director of the National Archeological Museum of Taranto, which is way down, Bahrain in Italy. It's in the two seas. No, really, I'm not joking. It's in the two seas of Italy. So it's not a coincidence that she was. We found her, or she found us. She will enlighten us on media and culture in the archaeological field, with specific reference to the Museum of Taranto, where Marco also back next to Sheikh. Marco is from Taranto. There's a connection there. Dottoressa Falzone is a distinguished scholar specializing in Roman housing and urban culture. Housing. This is not in the script. Again, Eleonora will be mad at me. Housing. What is the Sheikh Ibrahim Center doing? They're recovering houses and putting them to use in modern times. Beautiful. No, it's great to be here, and in each one of them, I love the connection of the history, culture, and modernity. This is not not in the script. Stella is a distinguished scholar in housing, blah, 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 that's what we say. And we're talking about her research focuses on the design and functionality of Roman housing and residence. She was a staff scientist at the Academy of Science and Sapienza. Oh, where I graduated.
Okay. I teach it in Sapienza.
Okay,
University.
but I was doing I was doing law. She was doing. So tonight, Stella will tell us about the National Archaeological. Will teach us. Will enlighten us about the National Archaeological Museum of Taranto. I already said where it is. It's the Bahrain. City of the two seas, like the island where you all come from, and it's in Puglia, which is the heel of the peninsula, and a strategy to make this the inestimable art pieces it preserves available to all. This morning, I had the opportunity. Thank you, Professor, to visit the museum. Of Qalat, Bahrain, which is a beautiful. So this is a similar project. Preserve our heritage and keep it for everybody. To everybody, researchers, amateurs, kids, disabled visitors, which can go. So, Dottoressa, thank you for being with us tonight to represent the excellence of Italy in the archaeological field. We're so proud to have you here, sorry, Eleonora. Sorry, I will cut half of your.
Don't worry.
But she will be. But yes, now just to say that Italy is #1 in UNESCO sites. I will make it. She will say, we love to preserve our heritage, our culture, blah blah blah. 2, 3, 4 pages. So anyway, no, yes, Italy has, I think, the most UNESCO recognized heritage sites. We're very proud of them. We like to promote them, but I will leave the professional, my friend Stella.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you so much.
Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for this presentation. And for the beginning, I am very grateful to the Sheikh Ibrahim bin Mohammed Al Khalifa Center of Culture and Research and to Embassy of the Italian Republic of the Kingdom of the Bahrain for the kind invitation, because the opportunity has been offered to me to present in such a prestigious venue the project of enhancement, communication, and promotion of the National Archaeological Museum of Taranto collection. So please, I want to thank warmly the president of the Sheikh Ibrahim Center, Sheikh Mai bin Mohammed Al Khalifa, the director of the center, Esmeralda Cabani, and also our Italian ambassador, Andrea Catalano, who spoke before me. Thank you very much, very, very much for your great hospitality. Thank you. It will be always in my heart. Thank you so much. So, the title of the conference, Rooted in the Future, encompasses the essential concepts that intend to combine our vision of enhancement and action that takes place in the present and on objects related to the past of Mediterranean civilization with the aim of building bridge towards a future generation. Our goal is to effectively communicate the value of the history of our territory, the Puglia, a region of the south of Italy, using the languages of contemporaneity to affirm cultural and universal values that cross time. In the first time of my speech, I will analyze the question of the National Archaeological Museum of Taranto in the panorama of Italian Museum. In a second part, I will describe the museum's main actions and objectives, and in the third part, the relationship between contents and communication would be explored, analyzing the communication strategy also through social media. With 59 UNESCO World Heritage Sites and nearly 5,000 central cultural locations, Italy can truly be regarded as an homeland for the concept of cultural heritage. Consequently, significant efforts in the protection and promotion of this wealth are essential. Since 2004, the protection and promotion of Italian culture heritage have become critical components of national law through the Code of Cultural Heritage and Landscape. This code establishes the pursuit of cultural heritage preservation as a duty of both the Republic and the community at all, aligning with the Article number 9 of the Italian main law, the Constitution. The promotion of cultural heritage involves specific actions and operations aimed at enhancing knowledge and encouraging public engagement in dedicated spaces.
How many people know where Taranto is?
Okay. Okay, we can show the position in the plan. Please do it.
How many people? Shaker?
Okay.
Okay. I don't need.
Thank you. Thank you. It is in the south of Italy.
Bahrain.
But later I will show some pictures. Sorry, I have to move to the general to arrive to the particular. Okay, just to give an idea of Italian law about the heritage. So, regarding archaeological, historical, and artistic heritage, the code outlines various cultural sites where promotion and public engagement take place, including museums. National museums play a vital role in the context. Since 2014, many national museums in Italy, as the Archeological Museum at Taranto, for example, have gained scientific, financial, accounting, and organizational autonomy, moving beyond the control of local superintendencies responsible for cultural heritage protection. This newfound independence allows them to enhance the promotion of the cultural heritage they safeguard, thanks to their unique status and internal structures. So, the Italian legal definition of museum, which largely derives from the ICOM, International Council of Museum definition, and today I'm very honored to have here, to have the presence of Professor Munir Bougnaki, who was one of the main experts, and so I am very happy to have that he can stay with us today. And with the ICOM definition supports this rule, and you can find our text of law that it must be referred absolutely to the ICOM definition. So I don't have to know it, to read it. So in Apulia, and thank you for showing the exact position in Italy, the case of the MARTA. MARTA is the acronym of Museo Archeologico Nazionale di Taranto, exemplifies research-based promotion of a cultural heritage in Italy. So you can have a view of the external building of 18th century, sorry, and also you can have a view of the cloister inside, and in the cloister we organize meeting, we organize concert, and also exhibition. So it's a very important part inside the museum. So our museum, born in 1887 as a repository of objects, was created by an educated and foresighted vision of scientists who thus protected the very rich heritage of the subsoil of a city undergoing great transformation. The city of Taranto was built in a very huge way during the 18th century. So what we see today is a modern museum, the result of a scholarly display of great commitment and expertise, based on the narrative of the history and transformation of one of the most important metropolis of ancient Mediterranean. The methodological assumptions followed, starting with the major rearrangement of the museum in 2013, present characteristic of absolute modernity, with a view to returning a multifaceted, dynamic vision of the past, in which the archaeological find takes on the role of a material source at different levels for understanding the context to which it belongs. Firstly, it preserves and exhibits a vast and impressive collection of artifacts and evidence from ancient Taranto, primarily for the Greek colonial polis of Taras, and also to the Roman city of Tarentum. The objects exhibited together with the other findings found within a space they contained reveal the world of ideas and values of our past, often revealing to us customs, rituals, and traditions that are much more similar to our present and which allow us to break down the temporal distance with Greek and Roman antiquity. The gold jewelry from the Hellenistic and Roman periods, symbols of the prestige and high status of the owners who deposited them in their tombs in Taranto in the Apulia, arouse the great admiration of museum visitors who can appreciate the very high level of craftsmanship, exceptional forms, and workmanship. But how is the promotion of the rich cultural heritage houses in the museum executed? What methods are employed? There is no definitive recipe of promotion beyond the general principle of aligning it with the protection and preservation of cultural heritage. Thus, it is beneficial to detail the specific action undertaken by the Museum Marta, while acknowledging that the ordinary exhibition of a selected collection is an archaeological museum is a fundamental method of cultural heritage promotion at all. But we can say that enhancement at Marta rests on 4 key pillars. So, the first one is the digitalization. All material evidence and associated information, both on display and in the storage, will be made accessible on a free online platform called Marta 3.0, which is currently under development. But I hope that here we will hand this, and it will work. The process will be closed. So the project, the Marta Museum 3.0, financed with European funds, allowed for the creation of a digital archive of the museum in which data of a total lot of 40,000 artifacts and with 2D and 3D digitalization and geocalization of finds were available, were brought together. So I show an example of a visualization of a marble head in 3D, and this type of documentation is very important, it's very relevant, both in terms of scientific study of the artifacts, but also for planning restoration work and new museum displays of the objects in the collection. The second one is the exhibition. Previously, unexhibited finds from the museum's repositories are showcased through periodically changing temporary exhibits in the museum's entrance hall, or through, as you can see in the diapo, or through temporary exhibition focusing on archaeological treasures from the Apulian region, for example. Another point is the education. Workshops for school emphasize specific aspects of ancient cultures and broader archaeological themes, fostering an appreciation of archaeological heritage among young learners. Educational spaces and workshops designed to stimulate curiosity and learning through practical activities, making history a living and formative experience for childhood. through the creative activities of the children, drawings, calendar, and other objects inspired by the works in the collection, including the creation of video contents, the new generation are confronted with the value system, mentality, and skills of the people of the past, and this leads to a progressive cancellation of the temporal distance from antiquity, normally perceived as something dead and distant. Another point, another pillar is the accessibility. Efforts to make the archaeological heritage accessible to visitors with disabilities include removing architectural barriers and designing tactile devices for visually inspired visitors, utilizing technologies such as 3D modeling we saw before. We offer visits to the museum for people with different disabilities through alternative routes and specific tools to ensure an immersive and profound experience for all. The museum with the events, the museum hosts various events such as concert every month and performing arts in designated spaces to attract visitors of all ages and ignite their interest in exploring the museum collection. Co-organization and participation in national and international exhibition. Our current challenge then is to welcome, to offer and offer a cultural service to the city and the territory, the natural first level of our audience, but in a world as naturally interconnected and integrated as the contemporary one, to open the doors to all kinds of audiences from all parts of the globe. Right now, many objects from the museum in Taranto are on display in faraway places in China. A few months ago, also were in South America as ambassadors of our values and culture. The history of the city, the results of the encounter, and also the clash between local population and settlers for Greece in the past, and all the events of wars and conquest for control of the territory, in the eyes of today's world, bring back themes of absolute contemporaneity. Greeks and barbarians, foreigners, natives, around this definition, opposing visions and interests still meet and clash, which is in the past, for example, so opposite, people living on opposite shores of the same sea. The museum provides an opportunity to reflect on these issues by offering evidence of food for thought in an historical perspective. But now, let now see how all the topics that have been addressed can become content for effective communication, and what strategies have been adopted. I present you an index of contents and related strategies that will be examined in detail. A contemporary archaeological museum, the MARTA, the Archeological Museum of Taranto and Apulia, MARTA's communications objectives, a new positioning, a concept for the museum, from the Lex Municipi to the Taranto of today, the explosion of the concept. A contemporary archaeological museum. How to communicate a museum in the age of fast, constantly updated communication? Just a moment, because I have not so much light. Thank you. The challenge for an archaeological museum is to maintain, is to keep a contemporary outlook, presenting exhibits not only as testimonies of the past, but as timeless tools capable of dialoguing with the present. The recent exhibition in a specific space of the museum of the work of the artist Paolo Troilo, In the Name of the Mothers, consisting of 8 painting tapestries dedicated to the figure of the mother, was a really added value to the museum collection, fitting right in with the theme of the feminine world and representation of mothers, which is very present in the artifact of the museum, as evidenced, for example, by the famous prehistoric Venuses from Parabita. A small video content of the exhibition that was inspired by our collection. And it was housed in a specific space for temporary exhibition, more than contemporary exhibition in the museum. So, our communication priorities are, you can read, projecting the museum of the city towards a new future, strengthening ties with the city of Taranto, the territories of the Italic peoples and the Mediterranean, building local and international collaboration, extend with firm roots in the city toward distant territories. Our museum must tell an universal story, reinforcing a sense of belonging through accessible languages and a strong link with the territory and with the history of Taranto, of the city of Taranto. Local context is also fundamental in the narration of individual objects, because without context, an artifact loses part of its historical significance. For the inhabitants of a city, it's very important to know the history of the subsoil that has returned the testimonies of our past. This builds awareness and attachment to the shared heritage and gives a sense of the historical becoming. Marta Communication explores Taranto in the relationship between the area of the former colony of Sparta and indigenous people, allowing the Museum of the Future to outline as a collector of so much history, as the center of the Mediterranean, the cradle of civilization. The history of the city, the result of encounter and also of the clash between local population as settled from ancient Greek, and all the events of wars and conquest for control and the territory, is the highest of today's world, bring back themes of absolutely contemporary. So, the National Archeological Museum of Taranto acts an ideal bridge between antiquity and the future, starting from the heart of the city that has played a central role in the Mediterranean and the crossroad of people, culture, and trade. Taranto, with its strategic position, contributes significantly to the birth and the development of Western civilization, thanks to its relationship with the first civilization of southern Italy. Marta aims to strengthen and enhance this heritage through collaboration, joint actions, and research projects aimed at cultural protection and promotion, in close synergy with regional museum system and territorial institutions. The Marta, the museum, is not an isolated institution, but a living organism connected to the local and international community. The museum strives to be a central player in the cultural life of Taranto, of the territories of origin of the other artifacts, promoting events, workshops, and collaboration that actively involve citizens and make them participants in the heritage that surrounds them. At Marta, heritage conservation is not an end, but a means to generate new meanings and narratives. The museum does not merely preserve historical objects, but uses them as tools to explore contemporary issues, offering new perspective and stimulating critical reflection. Through an approach that integrates research, innovation, and communication, the Marta aims to influence the cultural debate of a national and international level. The Rooted in the Future campaign is a powerful synthesis of the innovative and contemporary role of the National Archaeological Museum of Taranto. Through the claim, it emphasizes the importance of cultural roots as a foundation for building a meaningful future in which historical heritage becomes a tool for dialogue with modernity. So we can have a look on the visual. The face of a woman facing the future represents humanity and change, embodying the idea of progress inspired by knowledge of one's origin. In the center, the iconic elements of the gold of the Taranto, symbol of the craftsmanship, excellence, and cultural richness of the past, becomes a metaphor for the identity that illuminates the path toward tomorrow. The campaign poses the Marta as a bridge between the past and the future, capable of spreading knowledge and culture to impact contemporary society. The use of the elegant black combined with the gold of the jewelry and the famous silhouette expresses modernity, refinement, and connection with history. The message. The museum is not just a custodian of ancient treasures, but a living place rooted in traditions and projected into the future, ready to dialogue with new generation and become an agent of cultural transformation. So it's a sort of technical index of I try to summarize the main elements for the communication, but it's a very technical level, just to let you see how much it's complex to create a content and then also a concept for communication. So, the concept, rooted in the future, opens up the museum to the dissemination and clarifies the time map and makes the exhibit known. As an explanatory museum concept, sells the history and the future of the Mediterranean people, and in this slide I will fix some other relevant questions to be explored. And, for example, the importance of a context, the richness of knowing how to tell it, and I will try to create an example with one campaign of communication. So, just for example, I would like to show a campaign in which find city and communication work in a very synergically way. So, in order to narrate the return in Taranto of the Lex Municipi, a 1st century BC bronze tablet, part of the law referring to the institution of Roman municipality of Taranto, it is a very important find, not so common in Roman time. A new key to writing and lettering was found inside within the first, with the find itself, just as an archaeologist and architects found a new key to rethinking the city of the Taranto, its urban planning, its characteristic, starting from the Roman period. So this is one example for creation of communication starting from a single letter. So I have to underline three main assets: the contemporary language, a tale that starts in the past but rooted in the future, inclusive narration. Everyone becomes the protagonist of the story without barriers, without exclusions. Innovation and belonging, the synergy of tools and technology that project the museum into the future. The contemporary contemporary language, the Marta adopts a contemporary ones to make archaeology a shared story accessible to all. Their finds are not just objects from the past, but living stories that span time, connected to the context in which they were discovered and the uses that made them significant. Through the words of the archaeologists and the stories of the fields, the museum creates a bridge between past and present, making cultural heritage part of everyday life. In this way, the Marta strengthens the sense of belonging with the city, inviting the public to feel part of common, timeless story. This is why the new concept of the museum, which underlies every creation, aims to explain the context, to make the meanings and context to exhibits understood within a context map. So an example is the section Word to Archaeologists. In these short videos, the museum archaeologists tell in the first person, starting with an artifact, the functions of the object, retracing gestures for the daily routines of the ancient, very similar to our own habits. Sorry, it is in Italian, but you can catch.
Possiamo anche scoprire cosa mangiavano gli antichi tarantini.
This is
Quelli
one
che
of
vediamo
my
oggi
colleagues
sono due
archaeology in the
frammenti di grandi
museum.
vasi che servivano per contenere gli alimenti, in particolare vino, che nell'antica Grecia erano chiamati pitoi.
It's more
Sono
important
un'importante testimonianza
that our
della vita
archaeologists
quotidiana della
can
città di
speak
Taranto.
directly to the
Erano
public.
vasi molto grandi
They are
che
involved
potevano
in
arrivare a
the
essere alti anche
valorization.
più di 1 metro ed erano molto difficili da costruire. Il filosofo greco Platone, infatti, ci racconta di un detto che era in uso nel quartiere islamico di Atene e dice che per vedere
in alcune tombe tarantine
Just to give the idea, it's a sort of confusion, but what I would like to underline is that I am asking to all the people who work in the museum to be directly actor of the enhances of the museum, because I think it's very important. They have to be part of the project directly. Okay, stop. I stop confusion.
So we have the first one was a container for wine.
And the second one, yes, absolutely near to something modern. So another section, another important section, and an example of communication is now presented. We provide. It's a very effective for visitor because we display in the halls for the collection the traveling findings. For each artifact loaned to other museum, an account of the journey, the artifacts, and its destination. It's very important. We have a lot of objects now all over the world, and in this way, the public can learn more about the finds, understand their rarity, the importance of the hair trip, understand how the museum world works, and recognize the importance of the museum, Marta, through intercontinental travel of its wonders. So, of particular interest for communication was the campaign for G7, the group of seven is an intergovernmental political and economic forum that held in Italy in 2024 in Puglia, and it offered the opportunity to talk about the museum at a time when Puglia was in the world spotlight and uses to send a message of peace which unites all the people of the past, of the present, of the future. This campaign was published in the most important national newspapers thanks to a targeted press office work. And to create a new narrative sensitive to social issues, an inclusive narrative makes the Marta bearer of specific values for which no one feels excluded. So, by dedicating its temporary area to a wonderful monsters, the museum inverts the traditional narrative of the monster and the different. Also in this occasion, the Marta is the spokesperson for a message of acceptance of the different and of change of the present and the future. So, coordinating communication and activities of the museum, tradition and modernity were combined, focusing on interaction of the public and the use of innovative tools to make the heritage accessible and engaging. The goal is to create a strong sense of belonging, projecting the museums into the future thanks to immersive and participatory experience. So, an area of the museum is dedicated to the temporary exhibition of an artifact, chosen by the social public for those that are kept in the Marta warehouses. The public can choose what to exhibit, becoming an active part of the museum curatorship. In this diapo, with the gens Marta, gens is a Latin word, the museum promotes dynamic digital communication, inviting visitors to share their experiences and reposting content on official channels, strengthening the sense of community even online. So, in conclusion, the Marta social media marketing strategy is based on a rich and diverse editorial plan, structured to engage and educate the public through quality content. The main headings include events and exhibition, promotion of scheduled activities to keep the public up to date on the museum initiatives, videos from the archaeologists, and you have seen exclusive content from the experts offering a behind-the-scene look and unique insight into finds and discovery. And also thematic insights focuses on specific topics to explore the history, culture, and details of the museum collection. The news, communication of relevance updates, such as new projects, collaboration, and initiatives. User-generated context, sharing experience and material created by visitors to build an active community and enhance direct involvement of all the public. This strategy aims to combine cultural dissemination, participation, and innovation, creating an ongoing dialogue between the Marta and its community, both local and international one. And to conclude my speech, I would like to share a video present in a room of the museum which has been produced over the last few months as part of a major project financed by European funds. I have to exit. Just a moment.
This National Archaeological Museum in Taranto houses one of the richest collections of jewelry from the ancient world. In this room, you will find an array of diamonds, earrings, pendants, and other masterpieces that illustrate the creativity and skills of the goldsmiths of Taranto during the Hellenistic period. By virtue of their mastery, they were able to establish themselves well beyond Apulia's borders, transforming the city into a major exporter of luxury goods in ancient times. The elaborate and extremely refined decorations that distinguished Taranto's productions were made using different processing methods, such as lamination, knurling, or filigree. An example? The earring found in a tomb in Via Umbria can be considered a true synthesis of the main techniques applied by the ancient goldsmiths of Taranto. This boat-shaped earring is an ancient and popular type of earring with a half-moon design that is characteristic of the classical world. However, in Taranto, this essential shaped jewel is embellished with special decorations, in some cases typical of the city's goldsmith tradition, like the one that runs in the central part of the boat and that distinguishes all earrings of this kind found in Taranto, even those made of terracotta. It is a simple knurled wire, i.e., a wire worked with a dense series of incisions impressed with the blade until a knurling is obtained. On the sides of this wire, one can recognize plant motifs made with the filigree technique, a technique consisting of welding very fine threads onto the sheet that makes up the jewel, and the granulation technique, obtained by soldering small gold grains to the surface. The boat is then embellished with pendants, floral and zoomorphic elements, as well as two winged female figures, two victories, or nikai, in carved foil. The carved foil decoration is also characteristic of yet another type of artifact, funeral crowns. The custom of placing precious metal crowns in tombs is first documented in Taranto between the end of the 6th and 5th centuries BC. The practice intensified in the following century with the use of gilded bronze and terracotta. It was only after the end of the 3rd century BC, and especially in the 2nd century BC, that crowns were made entirely of leaves cut from very thin sheets of gold. This demonstrates how Taranto's goldsmith tradition continued to evolve even after the Roman conquest of the city in 209 BC.
Okay, this is one of the video content in the museum, and I really think that it's a very important way to communicate our scientific context, because of course this is really our treasure, but we have to communicate, we have to combine scientific information with the information for large people, for all the visitors, and I hope that my brief speech could be useful for a discussion, for our experience. In Italy, I know we have a lot of history concerning this topic, but I think that everything is a really ongoing strategy, and we have to find everywhere the solution. There is no unique solution. What I mean is that we have to arrive to the public. Okay, I come from the scientific work. I was, in my first life, I was a researcher. I think that now my effort is try to explain with different languages all the context, all the contents, because the contents, the scientific contents, must be be explained in different way and to be reached by everyone. So thank you.